Hello climbers, lovely to see you. Hope you've all had good weeks. It's exciting, isn't it, that we're slowly able to do a little bit more, see a few more people, maybe go to the shops. And that's something we've been waiting for several months. And we're going to think about waiting today. I wonder, can you think of times when you have to wait? Well, Bernard here, he often has to wait for me to take him for his walk. And I often have to wait when I want to go on the bus and it says it's coming in 5 minutes and then 4 minutes and 3, 2, 1, and then it doesn't come. It's very annoying, lots of waiting. And maybe you're sometimes hungry and your mummy says, it's coming in 5 minutes, just wait 5 minutes. There's a lot of times in life we have to wait. And Joseph had to do a lot of waiting. And in today's true story from the Bible, we're going to hear more about that, but how he kept trusting God even though he had to wait. Well, do you remember a few weeks ago we heard about Joseph's dreams? And they were dreams from God that meant that Joseph was going to be a great leader. God was promising Joseph he would be a great leader. Sometimes in the Bible, if God has an important message for someone, he'll send them a dream. Sometimes it shows them what's going to happen in the future. So God has shown Joseph that he is going to be a great leader. But is Joseph a leader at the moment? No, not yet. He was sold by his brothers. That was sad. And then Potiphar's wife played a nasty trick on him. That was horrible. And now he's stuck in prison. Definitely not a great leader. But we do know that God keeps his promises. So we better keep waiting. And do you remember that God had been really kind to Joseph and made it so that the prison guard liked him, and the prison guard had put Joseph in charge of the other prisoners. Well, there were 2 prisoners. They had been working for Pharaoh, the king, in his palace. There was the baker and the cupbearer. Now, one night in prison, they both had a dream. And they didn't really know what their dreams meant, but they were dreams from God. And Joseph was talking to them, and he said he could tell them what their dreams meant. So he said to the cupbearer, your dream means that in 3 days you're going to be released from prison and you're going to go and work for the king again, work for Pharaoh. Please remember me, Joseph, and tell the king about me, because remember, Joseph's in prison unfairly, he shouldn't be there. And then the baker said, well, what about my dream? And Joseph said, well, your dream means that in 3 days you're going to be killed. Eek. So 3 days came and went, and sure enough, Pharaoh released the cupbearer. And he went back to work for him. And sure enough, the baker was killed. But did the cupbearer remember to say about Joseph to the Pharaoh? No. Oh dear. Poor Joseph. He's left in prison, waiting and waiting for God's promises to come true. And 2 whole years later, Joseph was still in prison. How do you think he felt? He was doing a lot of waiting. Do you think he felt like God had forgotten him? Well, we know that God keeps his promises. And Joseph has to keep waiting. So let's add that to our action. So we'll say, God keeps his promises. But Joseph has to wait. Very good. We're now going to play Please Mr. Lollipop Man, and we're going to be waiting to cross the road.
Please, Mr. Lollipop Man, can we get out of jail?
Only if you made some bread this morning. I think our baker here is the only one who's done that.
Please, Mr. Lollipop Man, can we get out of jail?
Only if you've got a cup in your hand. Or cupbearer, you can come out.
Please, Mr. Lollipop Man, can we come out of jail?
Only if you've got a headdress on. So the prison guard can come out and Pharaoh can come out. I bet a lot of you are getting a bit bored of waiting. But keep waiting and hopefully you'll get out soon.
Please, Mr. Lollipop Man, can we get out of jail?
Only if you're a camel.
Please, Mr. Lollipop Man, can we get out of jail?
Only if you're an animal of any kind. Bernard can come out. Oh dear, you've been waiting a long time like Joseph here.
Please, Mr. Lollipop Man, can we get out of jail?
Only if you can wait 5 seconds before you come out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well done. Joseph can come out and hopefully all of you too. Great. Well, in our story, our true story from the Bible, we were thinking about how Joseph had to do a lot of waiting and had to keep trusting God. See, when Joseph was 17, God gave him a promise. He promised that Joseph would be a great leader. And he's waited and he's waited. And he's now 30 years old. That's a long time later. And in that time, his brothers have tried to kill him. They've sold him. He's been a slave in a land far, far away. He's been put in prison unfairly. And then he's been forgotten by the cupbearer. Poor, poor Joseph. But Joseph knows that God keeps his promises. But sometimes you have to wait. And finally things are about to change. One night, God gave Pharaoh some dreams. And first of all, in the first dream, there were 7 fat cows, and then 7 thin cows came along, and they ate the fat cows up, but were still really thin. What a strange dream. And then there was another dream. There were 7 fat heads of wheat, and then there were 7 thin heads of wheat. And then the 7 thin heads of wheat ate up the fat heads of wheat. How odd. Well, the king was worried by these dreams. He didn't understand them. He asked everyone he knew, but nobody could help. And then the cupbearer thought, oh no! I forgot about Joseph. I'd said I'd remember him. So he quickly goes to Pharaoh and says, when I was in prison, I knew somebody called Joseph, and I had a dream, and the baker had a dream, and Joseph told us what they meant, and what was going to happen. And he was right, because the baker got killed, and you got me to come back and work here. Well, Pharaoh said, bring him to me. If he can help, brilliant. So Joseph was taken out of prison, and Pharaoh says, can you help me? Can you tell me what my dreams mean? Joseph says, I can't, but God can. Joseph was very good at making certain people knew it was God who was working through him. And so Joseph explained, with God's help, what the dreams meant. He said, they mean there's going to be 7 years where there's so much food, loads and loads of food, and everyone will be full and have enough food to eat. And then there's going to be 7 years of famine. That's where there's not enough food to eat. The plants aren't growing. Everyone's hungry. And those years of famine are going to be so bad that no one will even remember the time when they had lots and lots to eat. Oh dear. Well, Joseph suggested a plan to survive the famine, and the king, Pharaoh, put Joseph in charge of everything. He gave him a new coat, and he put a gold chain around his neck. And he said, the only person more important than you, Joseph, is me. Isn't that amazing? He'd just been in prison, and now he's the second most important person. And Joseph made it so that everybody had enough to eat, even in the famine. Finally, Joseph was a leader, just like God had promised. God kept his promise. Joseph just had to wait. And God makes us promises too. He promises us that if we are friends with Jesus, we're going to be with him in heaven, and all the bad things will stop. That hasn't happened yet, but we know that God keeps his promises. We just have to wait. So keep trusting Jesus. God can do anything. He always keeps his promises. So we're going to pray. We're going to do a hands up prayer first. Say, dear God, thank you so much that you always keep your promises. Wow. Hands in prayer. Dear God, please help us keep waiting and trusting you. Amen. And now let's do the Lord's Prayer with actions. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen. Well done, climbers. I look forward to seeing you next week.